7:16. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. Live shot from Century Plaza Hotel and Spa. A lot of talk about the killer whales in Vancouver's waters. Many spottings, many photos being shared on social media over the past few weeks. Dr. Lance Barrett-Leonard, Director of Oceanwise Marine Mammal Research, joining us right now. And when we see visuals like this, the specific type of orca whale, the Bigg's orca whale, how rare are spottings like this here in Vancouver waters?
Well, they've been pretty rare, really, for the last 15, 20 years. But in the last 2 years, I'd say, we're getting more and more of them. We used to expect about one a year. Biggs would come in, used to come under the Lionsgate Bridge, poke their noses in, have a look around, maybe go to the convention center, and then boot it out of the harbor again. So what they've been doing for the last little bit, last couple of years, is coming in several times a year. And on this most recent occurrence, they went under the second narrowest bridge and up Indian Arm. So that was pretty cool. We haven't seen that for many, many years.
And what's the motivating factor for them to get this close? Because for many capturing these photos that we're about to see, I mean, it's quite the sight.
Yeah, well, these are the mammal-eating variety of killer whale. These are the Bigg's killer whales. And they're really driven by harbor seals more than anything else. And harbor seals have been doing fairly well in the harbor, particularly up in Port Moody and up in Indian Arm. So we suspect they're coming in, taking a look for seals. Whenever they do that, they move through quickly. The seals are onto them pretty fast, so they're ambush predators. They come in, if they can catch something, great. If they can't, they just move on out.
And with the research being done, did you anticipate we'd see some of these sightings, or is this kind of, hey, people are seeing something and they call you up?
Well, we've been kind of wondering why they haven't been coming into Vancouver Harbor more, into the inner harbor for the last few years, because sightings generally have been increasing quite a lot in southern BC, so they've discovered it again after many years of not really being in southern BC very much. So around Victoria, southern Strait of Georgia, they go down into the Washington state side a little bit. They've become more common in the last sort of 4 years, I guess, in that area than the fish-eating resident killer whales. That used to be the default whales. Yeah.
And what do we learn about their behavior, and how is the research actually conducted, looking at the population specifically of Bigg's orca whales?
Well, we do the research two ways. We do it by being out in our own research boat in the summer months. So this year we'll go out in mid-June. My team from Oceanwise. And then we rely on sightings from the public the rest of the year. So people call us up using we have a hotline. I saw one is our 188. I saw one, 186, I think, and so sightings from the public are super helpful. We also have a smartphone app, and people send them in that way. So when we hear about whales, we can go out and see who they were. We have them all identified, and we're always interested in new calves, what they're doing, where they're going.
Yeah, and when you say looking at new residents, how do you tell the difference between orca whales' characteristics physically, what you see, what you look for?
We can tell a difference because we know the individual killer whales, so we can see, a whale with a notch, 2 notches on the back of his fin, and we can look him up in the catalog and go, he's a resident or he's a transient, or a Bigg's killer whale, I should say. But they do look a little bit different. Bigg's killer whales tend to have slightly pointier dorsal fins, and residents, in contrast, are somewhat rounder. That's about the only sort of difference that you would see consistently.
And overall with this, is there a message of what you can learn from these sightings? Some people will say, hey, the seal populations really help, draw and are a motivating factor for coming so close to Vancouver waters. But what do we learn from this?
Well, I think we learned that, a lot of people have been claiming that harbor seal numbers are exploding. We've got to cull them. We've got to shoot them in order to protect salmon, to protect fish numbers. Really, the harbor seal population leveled off about 10 years ago. The distribution throughout BC changes a little bit from year to year, but the absolute numbers have peaked some time ago, and so it certainly appears that these big killer whales are taking care of any surplus harbor seal numbers, and will begin to drive them down if nature works the way that it usually does. So I think the bottom line is we don't need to cull harbor seals. We've got something out there that's looking after them pretty well. And these Bigg's killer whales are fat and rotund, and I've never seen such healthy-looking whales. I mean, they're really doing quite well. The residents, on the other hand, are pretty thin, and fish numbers aren't great. But Bigg's killer whales are doing fine. It's just, I think it's nature restoring a bit of balance.
Lots to learn from it, and I like the fact the public can get involved with those sightings. Again, Oceanwise Marine Mammal Research, reach out. We'll put those resources online as well, Twitter and Facebook. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Riaz.
Appreciate you coming by. We'll get back.